All right, today I want to talk about a different take on porn, synchronicities, universal science, serendipity, creativity, music, what that's doing to you, the different kinds of music, the spirit, Mother Earth, Gaia, grandmother, distractions, mainly what are we distracted from, and then psychedelics. So hopefully a different take. I don't hear people talking about the actual warning signs of what these things can do if you do too much of them or what they really mean. I spent the first 39 years of my life just razor hard, outworking everybody, became a millionaire super young. I am not a millionaire anymore. My daughter's cancer, we lived off of it for 3 years. I'm restarting now, happier than ever, don't care. Money's important, but it does not do what you think it's gonna do. So the past few years, I've explored the spiritual side of life, the metaphysical side of life, all the woo-woo stuff, and it's interesting, and I didn't think any of that was real. Oh, it's real, but there's a lot you have to be careful of because it's very real, and you can really get lost and intellectually confused in that stuff and not be on any firm footing. And now you've got a different life coach for every topic of your life, and you're constantly seeking knowledge, and you got to be really, really careful. So let's get into porn, particularly for all of us who have sworn off porn and we're never going to watch porn again, and we find ourselves just closing our phone after 2 hours on Pornhub or whatever it was. How did that happen? Oh, crap, Well, two things going on with porn that I don't really hear about. One, by the time you watch porn and you make the decision to just whatever, I'll try day one again tomorrow, you've already, call it porned, lust, or made bad judgment decisions 50 times that day. The mom running down the street in yoga pants. Yeah, is that unfair that women now are wearing flesh-colored clothing that's skin tight and they look like they're walking around naked? Yeah, that's unfair. That makes it harder, but you didn't have to stare that long. That woke it up in your brain. You go to the coffee line, the girl flirting with you, you're in a relationship, you shouldn't, but you just talk a little bit longer, a little bit friendlier, there it goes. You're putting that little dopamine in the bank, you're building it up. You're on Instagram, you get one of those fake likes, and then it's there's like no followers, but an OnlyFans link, and I'll just check it out or whatever, it's not porn, or a bikini Instagram thing. Like, just letting yourself have these little failures. That's what happens when all of a sudden you're on Instagram and there's the OnlyFans girl, okay, whatever. And next thing you know, you're logging off on Pornhub after 2 hours. It was a whole bunch of tiny decisions throughout the day. Winning porn addiction doesn't happen by white knuckling against porn. You're not gonna win that battle. You're not gonna win that physically. You're not gonna win that in your brain, and you're not gonna win that spiritually. It happens of rewiring how you look at women, lustful situations, how long you let yourself stare, that sort of thing. So the other part of it, there is a spiritual aspect and a very dark problem with porn that is much bigger than just stuff that we know about what it does to us. We know it messes up relationships. We know it messes up our image of what we think of women. We know women can tell if dudes watch porn in the bedroom. You kind of get like, that porn vibe, like, you know what I'm talking about. They can feel that, okay? We know it messes up oxytocin. We know it messes up dopamine, serotonin. It depletes, like, it's really, really bad. It even triggers epinephrine, but it's here's the woo-woo stuff I said I checked it out. It's definitely letting darkness in. No question about it. Why do you think it's free? It's like the most advanced technology that's deployed on the internet is for porn, and it's free. Do you ever see porn sites go down? I supported healthcare accounts in a high level in technology and corporate sales in corporate America. We would have people on ventilators, their equipment would go out. We'd have to come in and fix it. Porn, never down. It's because there's bigger forces at play to get people sucked into this, and it's not just numbing them and make you lose time and all the other stuff I said. It's hurting your spirit. There are evil forces coming through your eyes in porn. It's not just a dopamine thing that we have to watch more in extreme versions and more porn and blah, blah, blah. That is stuff entering you, and then you're feeding it with the porn. You don't have to believe me. From the bottom of my heart, I promise you that's happening. There are evil things with porn. All right, so another thing, you've heard synchronicities, serendipities, universal signs, meaningful coincidences. There are no coincidences. It's all frequency, that game, right? Where you repeating numbers, signs from ancestors, like, all right. like I said, I didn't believe in any of this stuff. So I full in explored it. Psychedelics, like, I mean, it's just as far as you can go, all different kinds of manifesting techniques and meditation techniques and all that. Manifesting is a different one. But anyways, that is definitely happening. There are absolutely synchronicities and repeating numbers and signs and things that are like, how could I have just thought about that and it happened here? But here's the thing. We don't really know what that is, all right? There's a God. And from the bottom of my heart, just stay open to that. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is absolutely a God. If he wants to reach you, you're gonna know. You're gonna know. And try asking him too. If you don't believe in God, try telling him to prove it. Say, if you prove it, I'll follow you, but reveal yourself, make it obvious and show me how to reach you. Sit back, watch what happens. There's a God. And he's here to help. Well, different video, but those signs, we don't know what that is. I followed those for years. They led me nowhere. You're just, blah, 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 blah. And I'm talking about extremely strong synchronicities and coincidences you cannot explain. You cannot explain. After following those, thinking I understood the pattern of the universe and I'm in rhythm and I'm in my right frequency, intellectually lost, almost bankrupt, no real career path, like just very confused, no sure footing, constantly grasping for new knowledge to gain security, and then, okay, now I'll try this. Everybody's got a different path and ideas. Be very, very careful because you don't know. Here's what I say. Don't make decisions based on those signs. If you want to take it as, hey, I'm in rhythm, I'm getting synchronicities, cool. But I would not advise looking at the individual synchronicity and saying, I'm gonna make that big life decision based on that coincidence that's impossible to explain, because that's happening. It is really impossible to explain. So creativity, that's a really, really good boy. That's a really interesting concept. I thought creativity was using your brain intellectually to come up with ideas and thinking about, that is not what's going on. That's not what's going on. You start that way and you sit down and you start trying to write your ideas out, and then you just get things dumped into you, okay? But there's two ways to do that. Again, I didn't believe any of this stuff. I experienced this on psychedelics. And I don't recommend psychedelics anymore. I'll get to that. But I experienced that, and that was the first time I was like, oh, these brains are essentially antennas. There's ideas floating around and they just come to you, and you if you make something of it, you're gonna get more. So you can get used to that you can get exposed to that on drugs, but you do not want to rely on drugs for ideas. And by drugs, I mean entheogens, plant medicines, weed, mushrooms, DMT, I don't know, LSD and all that. It's been a long, long time, 20 years I don't have. But I can tell you, when you remove that filter with one of those plants, you absolutely get easier access to this stuff. But if you try to live on those for that, your brain becomes mush. You lose track of what's real and what's not real. You believe things that aren't true. So you can't rely on those forever. You have to practice and find your own flow. For me, I've just an example, and I found my flow. I will get in a bath or a sauna or somewhere where I'm very hot. And as I get hot, first I pray and I say, God, fill the Holy Spirit in this room so that these ideas that come through that I want to make something of, I want to take these ideas and make something that broadcasts to other people. I want these to make them feel how you would want them to feel. Protect me from bad ideas or ideas that are misleading that won't make people feel like that. Anyways, start with that. As I get hot, I can feel like my filter lifts, so I start writing. And I literally start every time. I don't know what to write. Maybe today I'll talk about marriage. Maybe today I'll talk about, oh, bing, and then something comes through. Write that out. Boom, something more comes through. But for you, that could be sitting in the sun. For you, that could be right when you wake up. Like get up and start writing stuff. You have to find your own antenna. That's what I call it, because that's what these can be, is antennas too. And you also want to make sure you're grounded in something good, because those ideas, we don't know where they're coming from. I know where mine are coming from, but just random ideas, I don't know. So another one, big one, media, what movies you watch, whatever, but music specifically. Okay, so you can put, say A sound is measured in decibels. Like the higher the decibel, the louder it is. You can take a 60 decibel sound, point it right at your ear at a certain frequency. You're like, oh, no big deal. Someone changes the frequency, whether it's up or down or higher pitch, lower pitch, and all of a sudden it hurts. What does that tell you? The stuff coming from music, those sounds we can't see them, but they're physically touching you. They're having an impact on your physiology, all right? So you need to be very careful. Like the sound of the music is touching your body and it's touching your soul. Music is absolutely able to transform your consciousness. We know it can release serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, adrenaline. You ever done a mosh pit? You ever gotten in a fight and you put on that music before? Okay, it's altering our brain chemistry, but there's something bigger going on as well. The people making that music have intention and you can feel it. Just know when you're listening to music that has bad intention, that's having an impact on you physically and metaphysically, spiritually, however you want to listen to it. Be very, very careful. When you hear a song that comes on and you connect with it or whatever, go check out the artwork. Go check out their album artwork. Go look at their band page. Like, do they have skulls and stuff like that? You can listen to that if you want. You know, I'm tempted by dark art. I'm very, very intrigued and curious with darkness and art. It's really annoying. My wife doesn't have any of that. She's like, ew, that stuff's gross. And I'm like, what is it? You know, so check it out, because whatever is in their artwork and whatever they're talking about, that's what's coming in their music, and it's definitely impacting you. If you've done ayahuasca, DMT, mushrooms, high doses, and spent times even if you're new in it, but you've done high doses, it is undeniable there is a spirit attached to those. You are accessing a different form of consciousness. You are in the spirit realm. You're talking to something. It's the mother. Okay, that's ayahuasca puts you in direct contact with the mother, the grandmother, Gaia, Mother Earth. That's a sure DMT as well. So you can get poked right into that spirit and directly talk. It's really weird. It sounds creepy if you haven't done it. It sounds like psychosis, honestly. Like if you haven't done psychedelics, you think I sound crazy. I'm telling you, that's real. There is a spirit there, Gaia, Mother Earth, the mother, grandmother, you know, and that's also available without drugs. You can tap into it through different practices like yoga. I'm not saying these things are bad. I'm saying you need to be cognizant of what practices are tapping you into, because everything we do, we're getting tapped into something. Somebody made that through an idea that came from somewhere. You know, you need to follow your intuition. Like, is this good or is this bad? So you can access that Mother Earth stuff without psychedelics, and it can if you let too much of that in. Like if you let too much, you'll end up in a hippie commune, like sharing clothes and raising each other's babies and all masculinity removed. But even too much without it, you can really, even if you don't go that far, you can get very lost in that, and you become feminized as a man. You become softer. You can lose motivation. You start desiring different things instead of driving and ambition, and you start like, let's relax, let's go this way. There's a time for that. Mother Earth and that spirit and that energy, and I love lakes and rivers. I'm in the river every single day. I tap into that energy every single day, but that is not God. You do not worship Gaia and the mother. You do not seek that for answers, because you will get them, but where's that going to take you in life? I don't know. Is it worth risking? I'm not saying it's bad, but be aware of what you're taking in. Distractions. We hear a lot about distractions, okay? The porn is a distraction. Your phone is a distraction. That's a distraction. Oh, it's a distraction. Food's a distraction. She's a distraction. He's a distraction. But I am not hearing anybody say why that is a problem, okay? Let me ask, what are you being distracted from? That's the real thing that we need to be talking about, not what the distractions are. Cool, identify them, but if you don't know what you're being distracted from, what's the motivation to not be distracted? I'll tell you what it is. You're being distracted from not being able to learn your natural God-given gift that can be used to create something that helps other people and also brings you fulfillment and gives you purpose. That's what we need to be searching for, is purpose through God, using that intuition, not seeking multiple spirits, which are here. They are here all around us. The spirit realm is very, very real. So when somebody says, oh, that's a distraction, That's more serious than you think. You need to spend time with nothing but your brain, being bored, sifting through your thoughts, understanding that you have thoughts. You're not your thoughts. Like you're just, your brain does its thing. It's biologically wired to keep you alive. So it's going to constantly look for threats that aren't there and blow them up and give you something to fight about. That's what it's trying to do. It's trying to get you to survive. So you don't spend time bored with just your thoughts. You're never going to learn that. If you don't learn that, you're never going to find your purpose. You have to find your purpose in this life. We've all been given gifts. I firmly believe that. We've been given gifts that can be used to make something that helps other people and brings us fulfillment, peace, purpose. So psychedelics, all right. Though I'm no longer a proponent of that, simply because it launches you, the high doses, right? You want to microdose? I don't know. I've never really gotten anywhere with those. I don't do any of it anymore, but I was a big proponent for a long time. The thing with psychedelics, particularly the plants, the three, so DMT, ayahuasca, mushrooms, they're all in the same spirit. That same spirit is coming, that Aztec-y vibe with that real stone, reddish geometry, I don't know how to describe it. Again, it sounds psycho, like I sound psychotic saying this if you don't have experience with psychedelics. If you do, actually, if you don't have experience with psychedelics, just know these experiences people are having are real. Don't discredit them. Like it sounds crazy, but they are. These are not made up things. So psychedelics punch you right through, they call it the veil, into the spirit realm. That is not something that I recommend doing without supervision, training, like strong purpose, because you're interacting with things that are way more advanced than us. And I spent a lot of time talking to these entities, deities, whatever you want to call it. They're not, again, it sounds so whack, but if you are going to do it, okay, if like we all hear about John Hopkins and supervised mushroom trips, let's just focus on mushrooms, okay? Because the ayahuasca, that's whack. You go to a different country, you take an indiscriminate dose, as much as you want 3 cups, you want 2 cups, what do you think? You're in a room with 10 other people that you don't know, entering the spirit realm as they purge their trauma and they release stored energy their whole life that's been hurting them, and now you're open to receiving new things because you have no filter on, and they're speaking a different language in drum circles and enticing these spirits to come. That's all really happening. That's so crazy. So I don't recommend that. I mean, you will meet the mother if you go do that. I don't think you should. So if you're gonna do the mushrooms, clinically supervised, all right? And this is like a 6-month process to get ready for these mushroom trips. It doesn't take more than 2. They need to be minimum 3 weeks apart, minimum. If you do mushrooms once and you get the download, they call it. There's another thing, man, like universal downloads. If people go do these things, they're all getting the same information. Where's that coming from? And I'll tell you what it is. We're all connected. Karma is real. There is no death. You're not getting away with anything. The universal energies are real. I mean, the list goes on and on. Everybody is experiencing these exact same things. What is that? I don't know. But all it takes is 1 or 2. Any more than that, now you're gonna start really talking to things and getting your brain worked on. And does it rewire your brain and fix trauma? Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. But you're doing it through a spirit. Not only are you entering the spirit realm untrained and ungrounded, you're doing it under the control of a spirit. We don't know anything about this stuff, okay? So be very, very careful with that. And if you're gonna do it, supervision, and you don't need more than 2. If you really wanna do it, I recommend the MDMA clinical therapy stuff, because that, you remove the filter and it's a psychedelic or whatever, but you're not doing like what the mushrooms and the DMT, the ayahuasca are doing, where you are directly in contact with something that you can talk to in real time. Very, very bizarre to try to explain. It's actually ineffable. You can't really explain it. That's not happening on MDMA. So if you wanna do one of those therapies, I recommend that one. You're not gonna go meet octopuses and it's so ridiculous, clowns and stuff. And all right, be careful, man. Be careful with your soul. You definitely have one. If you don't believe in God, try calling him out. Try asking him. Like, get real and just stay a little bit open, and just say, can you reveal yourself to me if you're there? And do it in a way that I will know it's you. And if you do that, please show me how I can get closer to you. Because if he does that, you will want to get closer. Not if. If you genuinely ask him, and it could even be sarcastically, you could say, okay, I don't believe you're real, but if you are, do this. There's stories, tons of stories like that. So be careful with your soul. Be careful messing around with stuff in the metaphysical. We don't know what's going on there. Bye.